Yo, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy King Sanders here. We are back with another day of sports betting. This is going to be for Saturday, March 25th slate of NBA action. I'm super excited to dive into it. Unfortunately, as you guys know, I do have work early on Saturday, so I have to make the videos a little bit earlier than I normally do. So we are missing quite a few lines here, but I did find a couple spots that I did really want to go ahead and target. I do have 2 player props, and then I do have 1 spread pick that I'm excited to dive into. But before we go ahead and dive into it, I did just want to go ahead and say that we are still currently on the road to 12,000 subscribers. At the time of recording this video, we are super close to bringing in that 12,000. So if you guys are new, make sure that you guys do go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. Next, I did just want to go ahead and give a quick shout out here to all of our members here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do. And thank you guys so much for giving such a small channel such a big chance, as I always say. It truly does mean the absolute world to me. So much more than you guys will ever know. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into a quick recap as of yesterday. Man, we just have been having 2 really bad breaks. Like yesterday, we ended up having one that finished right on the hook. Then we had one that finished just literally 2 points shy because Shea did not end up playing in the 4th quarter.
Got him!
Another pretty much a recap of exactly what happened today. So we did end up having Denny Avdia over 21.5 points plus rebounds. This one was free. This one was completely free. Denny Avdia had a great game. I love what Denny Avdia is doing, especially in the starting rotation. He was somebody that the Bulls were going to actually draft until they ended up finding Patrick Williams and falling in love with Patrick Williams. They were actually going to take Denny Avdia, and you know I love Denny Avdia. I think that he is showing that he can play in this league. I like the way that he does, how aggressive he is when he is in the starting rotation with no Kuzma, with no Beal. That's gonna be a play we're gonna be targeting quite a bit. He finished with 32 points plus rebounds, cashing this over very easily. Then we had our 2 losses. We had Kelly Olynyk over 10.5 rebounds plus assists. I guess I should have just taken the rebounds because Kelly Olynyk ended up finishing right at 10. He ended up getting to the 10 rebounds plus assists, and then after that, unfortunately, he didn't play for the last 18 minutes of the game because they were down by so much. So it unfortunately did not work out for us. Then we had De'Aaron Fox over 26.5 points. This one, he ends up getting injured in the 3rd quarter and does not return. They haven't really given any sort of an update other than he limped off the court in the 3rd quarter. They haven't said what it was from. They haven't said what kind of injury it truly is. But he ended up finishing with 19 points. He had 19 points pretty much with like 8 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. Just unfortunately gets injured. There's really nothing we can do about that. So we've really had 2 days of bad luck, excuse me. We've had 2 days of bad luck here right in a row. Hopefully we can turn that around today. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. So for our first official play of the day, we're taking Bam Adebayo over 20.5 points here versus Brooklyn at minus 110 odds. Now, Bam Adebayo, we took his under last game versus the New York Knicks because the New York Knicks, they don't allow a lot of paint points. Bam Adebayo is a much more of an inside center than anything else. Well, they're going up against the Brooklyn Nets today, which is a whole different story. And Bam's been pretty good to this line. Outside of the last game that we ended up taking his under, he has gone over in 3 out of his last 4 games, and he's already seen this Brooklyn Nets team already this year, and he finished with 24 against them. So I think that we can see a similar situation here. And also the Nets allow the 7th most points per game to that center position this year, and the 6th most in the last 7. So they give up a ton of points to that center position, and not only on the year, but it's really continued all the way throughout the season. So I love the spot here for Bam. They're going to need him. The Heat are kind of struggling to even make the playoffs right now. They're in a situation where if they lose too many games, they could easily be falling out of the playoffs. So this is a game that they're going to need Bam, and I think that we see a pretty big game from him. So that is going to be our first official play of the day. Bam Adebayo over 20.5 points here versus Brooklyn at minus 110 odds. Now for our second official play of the day, we are taking Brandon Ingram under 26.5 points here versus the Clippers at minus 115. I know that Brandon Ingram's been hooping. He's been really good. He's been shooting the ball a ton. But he also hasn't played a team like the Los Angeles Clippers. I know that the Clippers, their defense has gotten a lot worse since Russell Westbrook has gotten on there. With Paul George's injury, that's of course taking out another really big name. But let's go ahead and talk about this here for just a second. First things first, Brandon Ingram has still gone under this line in 5 out of his last 8 games. He's been really good in his last 4. He's covered it in 3 out of his last 4. But over the last 8 games, he still went under 5 out of those 8 times. So I think that this is a good spot here. I know that Brandon Ingram's good, but this line is just a little bit too high in my opinion. And not to mention the Pelicans, with his time here in New Orleans, he has actually only hit the over versus the Clippers one time, and he finished right at 27. So he finished right on the good side of the hook. I don't think we see that again today. I think this is going to be a game where Jonas Valanciunas and CJ McCollum end up showing up. I don't think it's going to be a Brandon Ingram game. Not to mention the Clippers do allow the second fewest points per game to opposing small forwards and the fewest points to opposing small forwards in the last 7 games. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard is going to be on him, and if the Clippers are going to have any sort of momentum, it is going to have to go through the defensive end of things. I think that without Paul George, it's going to be much harder for them to score. And so with that being said, I think that they're going to have to lock up on the defensive end to give this team any sort of momentum, give them any sort of promise. And the Clippers also allow the 9th fewest points per game to opposing teams in general. They are still a top 10 defense regardless of just how much worse it's kind of gotten over the last couple games. It hasn't mattered because the Clippers still allow the 9th fewest. That still speaks a lot of volume to me. They're still a good defense. They're still a top 10 defense. Sign me up. I think this is a spot that Brandon Ingram goes under. So that's going to be our second official play of the day. Brandon Ingram under 26.5 points here versus the Clippers at minus 115 odds. Now for our third and final play of the day, we're taking a spread pick. We are going with the 76ers minus 1 here versus the Phoenix Suns at minus 105 odds. Now if you want to take money line, you definitely can. But I think it's only minus 115. So I think that would still be a really good call. But regardless, I do think that the 76ers end up winning this game, and I think they end up winning by close to double digits. The Phoenix Suns, they are coming off of a very close game versus the Sacramento Kings, in which they did end up losing by 7 points. Unfortunately, De'Aaron Fox was injured for that game, but still, they ended up losing by 7 points. And Joel Embiid is on the 76ers. Let's not forget about that, and James Harden is listed as out as of right now. So even if James Harden is out of this game, I do not care. I think that Joel Embiid is going to absolutely feast on this Phoenix team, especially with no DeAndre Ayton. They are going to have not a single soul out there to guard a guy like guard a guy like Joel Embiid, and I think that he is going to have a big night. So if you wanted to take his points line, I think that's another really solid look. But I love this spot here. The Suns are still going to be without Kevin Durant and DeAndre Ayton, 2 very key pieces here to this Phoenix team. And the Suns, without those 2 pieces, they've lost 6 out of their last 7 games. They have not been good here recently, especially without those 2 players, and I think that the 76ers are going to take advantage of it. The 76ers are not going to allow for a beaten-up Phoenix team, I think, to come in and actually end up winning against them, And the 76ers did play this team earlier. They ended up winning by 12, and this was with the former team, so with, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, where they were a little bit of a deeper team, and they weren't really struggling with any injuries. So with that being said, I think that this is a spot that the 76ers ended up winning. And the 76ers, despite not having Harden, they've still won 5 out of their last 6 games without him. So I still think that the 76ers can get this done. It's not really too tall of a task, so I love the spot here for our third and final play of the day. And Philly is also 23-12 on the road this year, so the best record on the road this year. So I love the spot here. That is going to be our third and final play of the day. 76ers minus 1 versus Phoenix at minus 105 odds. Now I more than likely will be adding a play or two. Make sure you guys do go ahead and follow me on Twitter. Make sure you guys do go ahead and check the pinned comment section. That is where the added plays will be if I end up having any. But currently right now we are still waiting on some lines, and unfortunately Saturdays are the days that I have to go into work early, so I do have to make the videos a little bit earlier. But that is going to do it for me. This is King Sarah signing out. Peace.